transport in Cameroon. This is probably going to get quite ranty before it gets better, to misquote River Tam from Firefly. Now, let's start with the airports, make it quick. The airport is den of thieves. They will try and con you at any possible point. If you see people trying to give you exchanging money, don't do it. They are conning you. And when I was coming out of immigration, I got stopped by a guy who was claiming to be from security. He didn't have a badge, he didn't have a uniform. He harassed me a lot and was trying to get me to pay airport tax. Now, you don't pay airport tax when you go into an airport, you pay it when you come out. So I knew this wasn't legitimate. And he actually took the piece of paper that I had all my contact details on and said he was calling the people who were collecting me. And I could see over his shoulder, I was like, you're typing in the wrong number. I am not a moron. I can see you doing this incorrectly. And he was like making out that the numbers weren't answering. I'm like, well, obviously they're not. You're not calling the numbers on the sheet. The security guard didn't seem bothered. And even when I said, like, I'm gonna go with your colleague here, he just completely ignored me and carried on talking to somebody else. So not any help at all. These guys then took me downstairs and were trying to get me to go to the back of the airport, and I was like, there's no way. You are going to take all of my stuff and I need that stuff, so you can't take me to the back of the airport to try and pay airport tax. So luckily I managed to find the people who were collecting me, and then this guy had the audacity to be like, oh well, I gave you loads of help, so aren't you going to give me any money? At which point I turned around and I said, you just tried to con me, mate. There's no way I'm going to give you any money. You're not from security, you're just a con artist. And anyway, long story short, we got away. When I got back to the airport when I was leaving, I checked my bags in, and then one of the guys from the company that deals with the luggage, which seems to be separate from the airport, then took me downstairs, made me leave my passport with a police person, which I was really uncomfortable with, took me to the loading area, and then said, you need to pay 2,000 francs to have your bag wrapped. I'm like, I'm leaving the country, presumably forever, if not for a long time. I don't have any money on me. Why the hell would I? And they're like, well, you know, you need to pay for this. So I offer them the change I have, and they're like, oh, it's not good enough. And then just carry on about their business. I'm like, well, I'm not staying here until somebody, you know, until my flight goes. So somebody needs to come and resolve this. Anyway, I make a load of fuss, and they then say, right, we'll take it. And when I got to South Africa, they actually had wrapped it themselves. So I was really glad that I hadn't sort of put up with them trying to con me. Moving on to the buses. The buses are super cramped. You don't get a full seat. And if you're in a taxi, I had a taxi ride, 10 people, 1 car, 3 babies, 7 adults, 2 hours, nightmare. On the buses, you know, God knows how many people they fit into those things. But the worst thing, above the loud music on what was a night bus, and the woman next to me putting her baby on top of me, the worst thing was absolutely seeing a pig with its front legs, its back legs bound, being strapped to the top of a bus onto the roof rack like luggage. To hear so much fear in a scream was horrendous, and the pig travelled like that for 6 hours, so that was horrific. So all in all, between those two, I would always suggest go private. Maybe do it once or twice so you can get a feel for what it's like to travel in Cameroon, but after that I would say go private. Now, getting away from the ranty bits, the bikes are amazing. Like, they are so cool. You feel really awkward to begin with because you're essentially pressed up against some rando, and you then have to lean into them when you're going uphill to stop the bike flipping back over you, and you feel almost, you know, like if you're any closer you would actually have sex with this person. So really awkward. Then you get over it. You realise that you're the only person who's awkward about this, and you know it's not going to get any more awkward, so you might just get on with it. Once that clicks, you then have a much better time, and I felt fine. I was drinking my bottle of water, I was looking around, I was waving to the kids. All the kids always wave at you when you go past. You know, I was having a great time, and you can see from the GoPro footage that you know, it can get quite hairy. You go like really close to some really steep ravines, and the roads are terrible. You know, what we call a road in the West and what they call a road are two different things. What we call a perilous dirt track of death, and they call a road, they are very much the same. But you know, again, it's all part of how they travel. And so yeah, I would just say in general, the bikes are amazing. The rest of public transport, do it once or twice to see what it's like, and then go private. Yeah, and the airport, just keep your guard up. So that's everything. I hope you enjoyed this, and this is Travel in Cameroon.